Retro.
Yeah.
Electro. Tech.
Oh yeah.
Hey, turn the lights back on. Wow. Retro electro tech. When real audio ruled the world.
Well, hello there, all you audio earth dwellers. Roaming across the land with a pants a sagging and a knuckle dragging. Yeah, you know who you are, babies. And so does the Retro Man, because the Retro Man has one of these, baby. Oh yeah, and he can see you, because he's a creeping up on you. Yeah, I don't know what that was all about, but I get a little strange when I'm tired, and I've been working and working and working, so yep, to be expected. So what do we have here on the bench taking up all this bench real estate? Well, we have a Laney AH, as in Alpha Hotel for all you phonetic freaks, 150. And this is one of them their multi-input combo amps. And I'm not sure when it was made, but probably the 2000 something or others. And this is a 150 watt solid state amp, and it came to me with a hum complaint, hummina. So I'm evaluating that complaint, or about to evaluate that complaint. And I have a signal from the function generator piped in to one of the channels there, 400 hertz tone. And down yonder here I have a guitar plugged into one of the channels as well. So essentially we're just going to be going through the inputs with our signals and just evaluating whether or not there's noise. As simple as that. Just some down and dirty function testing. Manipulate the controls around, see if we get any funkiness from the controls, and that's about it. One of the main things that this amp actually needed was a good cleaning, and behind the protective grill there was layers of dirt on the speaker cone, around the speaker. It's like somebody was gigging with this thing next to a mud pit at a female mud wrestlers event or something like that, and the cloth material around it, you know, had critter hair all over it. So I went in there and just cleaned everything up. It took some time to do that. And although I don't have to do that, that's just something I like to do for customers. And you know, if the time is there and the overall budget, I try to get in there and really clean things up. I don't like to hand back dirty equipment. I don't like to work on dirty equipment. Anyways, I could just tackle the problem that the chief complaint, in other words, but you know, again, I try to go above and beyond and clean everything up as nice as I can. So, just thought I'd throw that in. So let me go ahead and zoom in on the instrument panel there, and we'll see what we've got going on. Okay, all y'all, here we are, and all I'm going to do is just go through each channel and check the controls. You know, most of the way through I'm just going to use a signal generator. You know, I had a guitar plugged in earlier. I was kind of strumming a little bit, and you know, everything sounds okay, but I just want to demonstrate to you guys and the customer, because I'll send them this video, as far as my findings are concerned, just with this down and dirty function testing, which really is all that's needed. I'm evaluating a hum complaint. No rocket science involved there. As far as what might be causing hum on his end, that's another story that I'll talk to him about when I see him, because it's too much of an in-depth topic to go into in this video, as far as ground loops and issues with cables and connection issues and all that stuff. So anyways, though, on this channel here, channel 4, I'm going to evaluate this channel 5 last, because the inputs utilize some RCA jacks, and I'll have to swap the cables and all that stuff, but not a big deal. But I just don't have it set up like that right now. And if there's any trouble, I'll pop back in and say, yeah, I found some noise in this channel here, but otherwise, whatever. So let's start with channel 4 here, in other words. And at the same time, I'm going to be showing that the delay section of this amp is functioning. So I have all the delay controls maxed out. I'll just give it a little burst with the 400 hertz tone that I have piped in. Let me see, let me turn up the main volume. Okay, so I just gave it a little burst of volume there, and you heard the delay is functioning fine. And let me evaluate the control at the same time. The effects level, each channel has an effects level, okay, for that, well, for the effects, the delay in this case. So let me just kind of turn it back up, and then I'll rotate the control, the effects control, and I'm going to do that on each channel just to see if the individual controls themselves are noisy or intermittent. Okay, so let me do that. And that's clean. So at the same time, let me go ahead and evaluate the actual delay controls themselves and see if any of them have any crackle or seem intermittent or anything. Okay, that one's okay. That one's okay. And that one's okay. And on this channel, I'm going to turn the delay, or the effects, the delay in this case, down, bring the signal back up, and go through these sliders here, these VRs, variable resistors. And that one is clean. You could probably hear a little noise on that one. Yeah, there's a little noise on this one here. Just a little bit of crackle, not a big deal. Yeah, I'm picking up a little bit up toward the top, tiny bit. Yeah, thought I heard a little crackle toward the bottom of this one. Yeah, this one's okay. This one's clean. Okay, enough of that tone for the moment. So most of the controls I evaluated so far, just in this little region here, are okay. A few of these, yeah, I am going to pull the chassis, just kind of take a look inside, and I will clean up these VRs here and just do a little preventative, you know, just kind of freshen up the controls. Might as well do that. I want to clean out all of the input jacks, you know, get my little brushes, you know, pipe cleaners, brushes, and some solvent, and just clean out the input jacks, that sort of stuff, that kind of maintenance. So let me go ahead and move on over to the next channel. We're going to zoom through it now. Same thing. Okay, our delay on this channel. Let me check the effects level. Okay, no noise in that, no crackle, no pop, no intermittent behavior. Let's go ahead and switch to the next. Each jack, of course, you know, we have our left and right in each channel, I mean. So we have a left and right on each channel. So I'm just going through and making sure that all the jacks themselves are fine, that we don't have a busted solder joint on one of these inputs, you know, rendering the input dead or anything like that. Okay, so that's good. Last one here, let me just, I'm sure the delay control or the effects control will be fine. Yeah, no noise in that one. Let me check our high and low filters here, controls. These are not noisy controls. And the last one, I happen to have a guitar plugged into because I wanted to check the inputs with, you know, a guitar signal. Okay, the effects control is quiet on this channel as well. Otherwise, this thing is looking good on my bench. I don't see any problems, you know, bad filter caps, anything like that, that type of noise. So, yeah, it's pretty quiet overall. If I turn up, you know, if I turn up the main volume all the way, no hum. You just have some hiss there, just a little hiss. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, like I said, clean out all the jacks, you know, inputs and the controls, and give it a little inspection inside, and this thing will be good to go. So let me go ahead and open her up. Okay, so here we are with the chassis pulled, sitting on the amp stand, ready to go. I'm going to zoom in, take a look inside. It looks pretty dirty in there, and I'll show you all in a moment. In fact, it looks like somebody spilled something in there. There's a what looks like a sticky substance in there that looks like it could have been, who knows, maybe maybe a soft drink or something like that. I don't know, something sticky. We'll zoom in on it. Also too, I want to get the board pulled, the input board / control board there. And from what I can see through that little gap up at the top, all the potentiometers are, for the most part, sealed potentiometers from what I can see. Does that mean that I couldn't get a cleaner in there if I had to, if one of them was really really dirty or whatever? Yes, I could if I had to, but being that the controls for the most part, as I demonstrated, are in good shape, they're not producing noise or intermittent behavior, the potentiometers, that is, the VRs that have a little bit of noise, well, I can access those. In fact, I could have accessed those from the front. But I still wanted to pull the board, take a look at things. It's always a good idea, because ultimately I'm in here to give this piece of equipment, this amplifier, somewhat of a clean bill of health. I want to look for obvious issues like I always do when I go in and perform an inspection, so I don't want to get lazy. I'm still going to pull the board and see what there is to see, and even take a better look at those potentiometers to see if they have any little access holes or anything. They look like they're sealed pots to me, but the good thing is, as I already said, and I'm repeating myself, that because they're in good shape, they're not noisy or anything, I'll probably just leave them alone anyways and just focus on the sliders. So let's go ahead and zoom in and get to it. Okay, so here we are, up close and personal. We're going to get a little closer here. Let me go ahead and kind of zoom in. And you can see that things are pretty dirty in here, okay? Oops, getting a little blurry there. So things are a little dirty in here, to say the least. And if you notice down here on the floor of the chassis, maybe if I pan up just a little bit, you can probably see what looks like the outline of a sticky substance. So obviously there was some sticky liquid or something, maybe a soft drink, I don't know what it was, but anyways, yeah, you got a lot of dirt and debris and all that stuck to that. And then of course we've got you know, a lot of garbage in here. I'm going to clean up everything in here, even though technically I don't have to in order for this to work and to remain working, but it's just a good practice for a tech to go in, do neat work, get everything cleaned out and all that. And I'm performing an inspection in here. Why am I doing that? Well, for obvious reasons. I'm inspecting things because I'm looking for problem indicators. I'm looking for components that are showing outward signs of stress, things that are starting to look kind of discolored, kind of crispy looking, charred. And sometimes you'll see that with like resistors, diodes, other components. Sometimes the bodies will crack, and I'm looking for physical signs of stress. And these components so far look good. You know, let me bring my magnifier down in here. So I'll go through with a magnifier like I'm doing now, and I'm kind of looking in there. I'm looking for obvious signs of stress, discoloration, cracking, things like that. And things are looking good. Not a lot of real estate to cover on this board. I'm not going to pull this board and look at the back of it as far as solder joints. I'm not going to do that. But you know, this amp is functioning. Everything looks okay. We're just going to have to take our chances there and just assume that the solder joints are okay. If down the road, you know, I have to get into that because there's a connection issue and I have to start looking at solder joints, well, I'll do that. But I don't want to pull the board right now. I'm going to be pulling the other board, anyways, the control board slash input board, but I don't want to start pulling everything. So anyways, also too, another thing I want to mention to those, and I bring it up every now and then about electrolytic capacitors. These are electrolytic capacitors here, okay, and these little you know, metal cans. And I had mentioned to the customer when he came in, when he was talking about humming and noise and all that, I brought up the possibility of electrolytic capacitors, especially in the power supply, that might be experiencing some issues, or you know, might be at that point where they need to be swapped out. But being that we discovered that everything is quiet and all that, we're looking good. But these electrolytics here, for those of you that don't know, are known to produce problems as they age. They have a chemistry inside, a chemical electrolyte, that doesn't get better with time like fine wine. So as the chemistry starts to break down, and sometimes it'll physically leak from the can. You'll see bulging sometimes here at the vent. These little lines you see on the top of the capacitor are where they would vent open, because sometimes these will fail catastrophically and vent open and make big scary noises. And so sometimes you're looking for bulging of these sections here. Sometimes you'll notice leaking, like a little puddle of electrolyte down at the base, or even leaking through the vent. If they kind of partially open, you'll see leakage and all that in some caps. So in other words, I'm looking for those outward signs of problems: bulging, leaking, physical leakage. So far everything's looking good. But yeah, the electrolytic capacitors are known to be among the list of problematic components in electronics, especially as these things age. So from what I can see, everything is looking good in here thus far. So we'll go ahead and move on from there. And I just wanted to point out what's going on. So I'm going to get everything physically cleaned up in here. Let me pan up just a hair. Then I'm going to get this board out of here and start cleaning the you know, the faders, the sliders, and just kind of look at that board as well, and go from there. And then actually we'll be wrapping this up. So let me go ahead and get to it. All right, let's get all these nuts off, man, so I can get this board out of here. Right, chill. Now, let's see about getting these screws out here. Okay, let me try this stubby in here. There we go. All right, now there's let me see, am I in frame? Yeah. There's a screw down in here, and you can see here's the toroidal transformer here and the board. So I'm going to have to probably use a little ratcheting screwdriver to get that bottom screw out of there. Yeah, that standoff is spinning. There's a standoff that's spinning round and round. Let me see if I can hold the standoff so it doesn't spin and spin. It's a standoff for the equalizer board. There we go. It's a tight fit for this little stubby. Get my finger down on that standoff there so it doesn't start spinning out on me. Okay. Alright, let me reach in there and there we go. See if I can get it out of there now with my fingers. There it goes. There's a stubborn little screw there. Maybe because that standoff is spinning. There we go. Hope I'm on that standoff. Alright. Let's see if I can do it this time. Aha! Let's see here. Okay, what's holding it now? Did I miss a screw? See, this is like all the real world stuff, all the behind the scenes, and I think I missed a screw. I think there's one tucked up. Maybe under this connector here or something? Yeah, there is. No wonder. There we go. First you have to break the little glue seal there. See, you know the reason why I'm putting some of this footage in there is because, you know, behind the scenes, you know, you always see the you always see the end result, and that's what most people want to see. I get it. I wouldn't want to watch this stuff too long, but that's the thing. You know, this is all the time-consuming stuff. You know, running across a little hard to reach, you know, screws and all that junk. And then they got this connector, the junction of this connector glued. Anyways, yeah, whoop-de-doo. So there you go. Okay, so after that debacle of trying to access a few of those screws and loosen them up, I got it all done. Some of those screws had glue on them. They were glued to the surface of the board. That's why they were a little bit more difficult to loosen up. And you know, then you had that one opposite the transformer that it was just in a tight spot, and yeah. Anyways, but the board is out, obviously, as you can see. And if I zoom in, so you can see the dirt. How much dirt is on these inputs and all that jazz. And if I, same thing here, you can see all that dust and dirt on the dust covers of the VRs, okay, and some hair and all that, all the good stuff. As I already said, I'm going to get everything cleaned out inside the chassis on these boards and get these boards all dusted off, and then I'm going to position the chassis, this board here, for drainage, because I want to be able to you know, lay some rags in there or whatever the case to absorb, you know, contact cleaner. I'm going to spray out the inputs and use probably my little brushes and or pipe cleaners to get in there and clean these inputs real good. I'm going to spray out these VRs, and after the VRs are worked and everything's kind of dried out, then I'll put one drop in each VR of fader lube, work it a little bit, and we will be good to go. So let me go ahead and get to it. Alright, so I got it all cleaned out in here, and it was quite a bit of work in terms of just really getting into the you know, nooks and crannies and getting all that sticky sugary drink, and that I'm assuming that's what it was. I don't know what else it could have been. You know, a big puddle of just something really sticky. So it's probably some sugary soft drink or something like that. But I had to use a lot of you know, solvent. You know, again, 99.9% anhydrous alcohol, spraying down the boards, working in there and getting out all that crap, cleaning up the floor of the chassis and all that, getting that all out. And again, I understand that this isn't something that was 100% necessary for the unit to function, but I don't leave equipment like that. That's just not the way I operate. So anyways, yeah, it's all cleaned out in here, looking pretty nice. And now I'm going to move on to the control board and start working on that. Alright, so here we go, cleaning out all the jacks. And no rocket science here, just you know, nothing amazing. Probably about the only amazing part of it is, you know, I'm putting in the work. And that's what it takes. It just takes work. I mean, you got to go in and spend the time to just get it done. And you know, I'm getting these jacks all cleaned out nicely, and you know, make sure that the customer is going to have good connectivity when he plugs in and all that. I mean, I don't think it doesn't look all that bad down in there, but again, for the sake of just going through the paces and freshening things up and just doing a good job and assuring you know, good connections, and who knows, you know, over time dirt and debris obviously work their way into openings, orifices, you know, so jacks and these you know, faders and all that definitely need to be cleaned out. So I mean, there's a little, I could see some dirt, some discoloration on this pipe cleaner here. So yeah, I'm definitely getting stuff out. So you know, but I mean, it's nothing horrendous. But anyways, so that's the name of the game. So that's what I'm going to do to all these jacks. All right, let's get in here now and get these VRs all cleaned out. All right. So, rinse and repeat. Okay, so I'm making the best use of my time while I'm waiting for the VRs to dry out after spraying them and working them. I flipped over to the back side of the board, as you can see, and started the inspection there with you know, my magnified light here. And I want to start hitting solder joints associated with, you know, the inputs, or wherever I see a funky looking solder joint. And you can see in this area here, some of these solder joints look pretty skanky. In fact, it looks like somebody was in here doing some work, but some of these solder joints look a bit skanky. Yeah, a few look kind of blobby, a few are kind of concaved, and all that jazz. So I'm going to extract some of this old solder and then reflow the joint and make sure that we got good solid bomb-proof connections, especially on our inputs, and again wherever I see a funky looking solder joint, because these are looking pretty skanky. So anyways, let me go ahead and get to that. Okay, so I reflowed all of the solder joints that needed it, and most of my focus was on the input jacks that you can see all down here running across here. Okay, so the original solder joints, some of them I could tell somebody was in here doing a little bit of work, and the solder joints were a bit questionable, but as I pointed out. But even the stuff from the factory, some of the solder joints looked a bit concaved and didn't look like they had much purchase, and they definitely look like over time, with plugging in and unplugging and plugging in and unplugging and all that, you know, that vibration on the board. Although there's some strain relief, of course. As you can see, the inputs here are threaded, and you know, they do attach to the front metal panel, so there is some of that strain relief. But regardless, when you're plugging in, pulling out, plugging in, pulling out over time, though, you can still get some vibrations on the board and all that stuff that can affect solder joints that are not all that substantial to begin with. And also too, because it's an amp, you have to also realize that, you know, amps, especially this amp that's being gigged with, it's moved around, you know, it gets bumped around, it's exposed to higher vibration environments. So solder joints, bottom line, should just be good in anything, but especially in an application like this. So you can see my solder joints that run across are nice and uniform and conical in shape. I often joke around and say, you know, they're conical as opposed to comical, but you know, that is true, because you really want to have nice, clean, uniform solder joints, bomb-proof solder joints. Again, especially in areas that are going to be under a little bit more mechanical stress. So you can see the uniformity of the conical solder joints. They're more substantial than the original solder joints, all the way on down the line over here, okay? They're not big and blobby, but they're not you know, too thin and concave like the other ones. So there you go. That's all wrapped up. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and actually start piecing this back together now. It's about that time, and get ready to wrap it up. Okay, so everything is working like it should, and yeah, it's good to go. So anyways, guys, you know, like I always say, peace, love, music, and the vintage audio that brings it to your ears. Till next time, y'all take care.
This is a poor man's shoe production.